mute their mic. When you going to say something, can you just announce your full name and obviously turn your mic on? And I think everyone is here except the Mayor. The meeting will
Mayor's
be
here.
Bill, how are you?
Thank you.
The meeting will be recorded, so it can be put up on the council website, and it looks like we are in recording mode at the moment. So welcome everyone to this meeting of the Hāwera Community Board meeting. Under different circumstances this time, and we're all on Teams, so everyone be kind to each other. Apologies. Do we have any apologies?
None.
No. There's no apologies. That's good. We will move to open forum. The first speaker will be the Parkinson's New Zealand Charitable Trust. Christina, the floor is yours.
Kia ora. I hope everyone is doing okay. I can see a lot of you smiling, so I assume that's the case. So I'm here to represent our service for people with Parkinson's and Parkinsonism conditions in Hāwera. I'm just going to start with a little introduction of what our service includes. So we provide information, education and support to people with Parkinson's, as well as their carers and whānau. In Hāwera, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this properly and if I'm not putting the accent in the correct place. We have one Parkinson's nurse. We are employing one nurse who is contracted to do 8 hours a week, and she works throughout South Taranaki and has a client caseload of about 45 clients. 30 of them are Hāwera residents, so the majority of her clients are based in Hāwera. So the nurse does home visits. This has changed slightly in the current circumstances, but I will get back to this in a moment. The purpose of the service is to work with the person with Parkinson's and their family and to come up with a personalized care plan, because Parkinson's is a neurological condition which presents differently in different people. So some people might experience certain symptoms and others might not experience them at all. So, and also it takes many years for the condition to develop. The nurse does the home visit, comes up with the personalized care plan, which involves an assessment. So if the person with Parkinson's requires a referral to, say, occupational therapy or neurologist, the nurse can do those. So we have a direct referral system with neurological wards throughout the country. And also in Hāwera, we have support groups which are run by the Parkinson's nurse. They're open to the person with Parkinson's as well as their carer. They're an excellent way for people to connect with each other and extend their support networks, be with people who have a lived experience of the condition. And as I said, currently our service has changed a little bit, but we're still providing it. We're still there for people with Parkinson's. So we've got a COVID-19 protocol, which we have been implementing since last year. What it means at level 4, there are no in-person contacts with clients. So support groups are cancelled, but our nurses and educators are available for our clients through telephone, video conference, email, and text. So we're still there for our clients. And also, I just wanted to mention one change since our submission. We've had a staff change. We have a new nurse for Hāwera. She'll be starting on the 1st of September. And the current nurse will be in post until the 10th of September. So there will be an overlap and there will be handover between the two. So there will be no gaps in service provision. So I think this is pretty much it, unless you have any further questions.
Thanks, Christina. Do we have any questions for Christina from the board?
I have one short one. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
Hi. Just curious, does Parkinson's, do they hold any fundraising events, or what other sort of opportunities do you try and get some fundraising?
So what we do have fundraising in the community. Also, we write to other grant makers. We have had funding from private foundations in Taranaki, also through DIAS, which is Disability Support Services. And also we have a campaign called Tulip Cream Teas. So that's where people organize a tea, so they invite their friends and family, and that way they fundraise. We also have tulip bulb sales and various other. We also have Parkinson's Awareness Month, which was in April this year, and we had collectors throughout the country. I think this is pretty much it.
Any more questions, Russell?
Yeah, just one question for myself. Thanks, Wayne. Is the whole amount requested purely for the individual salary?
Yes, in this instance it is. But it's not the whole salary, it's just part of the salary. So the nurse works 8 hours a week, and the amount works to just over 14,000 a year. So we have requested 3,000, and it will go towards the salary of the nurse.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Christina? Thank you, Christina, for your presentation. We will now move on to Age Concerned Taranaki.
Thank you, everyone.
We've got two members there, Estella and Kieran. Who wants to speak first? Kieran, off you go.
I was waving hello, but I'll speak first. Hi, everyone. I'm Kieran, Executive Officer of Age Concerned Taranaki. We have Estelle, who is our Age Connect coordinator, who lives and works in Hāwera 22 hours a week for us, although she has a lot of hats with other organisations and a lot of contacts into our older people in the community. We're here today requesting funding towards our Age Connect Taranaki program, just for the services that we undertake in Hāwera. We are throughout townships in Taranaki. A few years ago, when I started with the organisation, we had a monthly group in Hāwera. Now Estelle runs coffee mornings every week on a Thursday, twice a month on a Tuesday, does a monthly scooter club, and does an outing. And the reason we've increased our activity down in Hāwera and hired somebody local is because the people asked for it. Grey Power South Taranaki came to Age Concerned Taranaki a couple of years ago. They had this information from all their members saying that loneliness was one of their biggest concerns. The other one was elder abuse. We have an elder abuse service that goes throughout Taranaki as well. But with the social connection programs, they're not able to hire people. They asked us to hire someone and get services up and going, to provide somewhere that people can meet, connect, and then support each other. And Estelle can probably give some stories of that. But as people get to know each other, they support each other. If somebody's in hospital, gets out, needs some meals, needs some housework, like the service goes beyond what we do because we're connecting people together as well. Estelle, do you want to talk to the programs that you run? You have to unmute yourself, Estelle.
Sorry. We run several programs on a Tuesday, twice a month. We tag that on to a Steady As You Go exercise group where we've got over 70 members registered, and those numbers are very high. it is definitely evident that the getting together of those programs are really creating new friendships. What happens, as we all know, as we age, we lose our partners, we lose our best friend, and many of these elderly people are just stuck in their homes because they don't know where to go, and they don't know if they don't want to approach it alone. So my job down here is to get them in. So there's Tuesdays, we have that. On a Wednesday, I go twice a month to Stratford, where we've got a morning singing group, which started originally with a few handful, and the numbers have now grown to in their 20s. So that's a really popular one. And then on a Thursday, we have a group that meets as well for a coffee morning. And we do tend all of these coffee mornings to make sure that people remain educated. And by that, I mean telling them what's going on in the area. And we've had several people come in as guest speakers. Ordinarily, we've recently had people from, sorry, excuse me, I've just forgotten what I'm thinking, but we've had people in to come and talk about various things. Arthritis New Zealand has come. We've had the retirement home chief executive come and speak to us. And people are finding that these meetings help them keep abreast with changes. I also have mornings that I go out to Manaya, where we've recently set up a SAGO group at the school. And that is going to follow on with a morning tea after the exercise group, and we're hoping to grow those numbers as well. Then I travel down to Patia and also to Waverley. All of these are quite important in the community because it keeps them up to date and connected. Does anybody want any questions that I can answer?
The budget that we've put in is just for the Hāwera portion of Estelle's work. We're not requesting from this committee the funding for her work in Patia, Stratford, Waverley, Manaya. We're going elsewhere for that, just for your information.
Thanks, Karen. Any more questions for Age Concerned Taranaki? Rightio, if there's no questions, Christina, Estelle, Karen, thank you very much for your presentations. You're more than welcome to stay on the meeting if you wish, or if you want to do something else, you're entitled to leave as well. So I will leave that up to you, and we will move on with our meeting if that's okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
lady. Right, we'll move on to confirmation of minutes. So the Hāwera Community Board meeting held on the 12th of July 2021. I will move it. Do we have a seconder, please? Raymond?
I can.
Raymond got in first. That was away from Raymond, so Raymond can second. It's open for discussion. Nikki, you're first.
Just through the chair, if people can, instead of just raising their hand, actually state their name, so it enables me to be able to minute take it if I'm not looking at the screen.
Nikki, you're first.
Yep, no comment for that for me, thanks.
That was Nikki Watson. Diana, Reid?
Not from me, thanks, Wayne. I've read them and they look fine.
Russell Hockley?
Kia ora. Just one amendment to section 3 funding applications 3.1. It says down there, Mr. Hockley noted that the results being produced by the group as soon as possible. For example, the tables completed was a seat.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
Raymond?
No, I'm fine with it, thank you.
Right, anyone else with any other comments? With those amendments in mind, we'll vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Any abstentions? It's carried. Right, we'll move on to reports. First one is
excuse me, through you, the chair. It's Darleena, Christie here. We actually already have Becky Wolland, our governance and policy manager, and Gordon Campbell online to speak about the representation review, which should have been done in open forum. Apologies.
All right, they want to speak now then. We will have Gordon, I suppose, first. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. I'll defer to Becky. She's got a presentation.
Oh, sorry, Becky first. Right.
No worries. Gordon and I are just going to do this together. I'm going to leave my screen off at the moment just because my internet's not the greatest out here. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, Becky.
Yep. Alrighty. So I just wanted to give you guys a really brief update on where we're at with the representation review. So most of you will be aware that a couple of weeks ago, the council adopted their initial proposal for consultation for the representation review. So I'm just going to give you an update on what that looks like. So for the full council, at the moment, the proposal is that we would have 13 councillors plus the mayor. So that would give us 11 general ward councillors, 2 Maori ward councillors, which effectively it's an additional councillor compared to the current representation we have at the moment. Feel free to jump in and ask questions or anything like that along the way. Sorry, I'll just bring it. Right, Maori wards. So we're going to have at this stage 2 Maori wards with 1 councillor per ward, east and west wards. So we definitely need names or suggestions of names for these because the names are adopted as part of the final decision on the 11th of October. So we definitely need some suggestions around that. And the boundary for Maori wards is predominantly along State Highway 3. I appreciate the map that's in front of you at the moment is probably not the greatest. If we'd been in the chamber, it would have been a bit different. But anyway, Eltham is split in half and Te Hāwera is split in half. And Normanby is also split in half. And this was specifically what Ngāti Ranui and Ngārohini have agreed to. So that's what the council adopted as their initial proposal. So for the councillors, we'd have Eltham Kāponga would have 2 councillors, Pātea would have 2, Taranaki Coastal would have 2, and Te Hāwera would have 5. And that's one of the maps that we're using as part of our consultation at the moment. What we've also done is included the community boards on there, just so that it's clear to the community how many elected representatives they'll have for each of their wards. So for community boards, I'd like to firstly thank the Te Hāwera Community Board for submitting through the informal consultation process. And there was strong support for the retention of community boards across the district, as was the council. And the community boards will follow the same boundaries as those proposed for general wards. So one of the major changes for Te Hāwera and Taranaki Coastal is that Ōkaiawa will move back into the Te Hāwera ward. At the moment it sits in Taranaki Coastal, so that we're proposing that it shift back into there. And yeah, there's another boundary line change around Oyo Road, but the main one for Te Hāwera is getting Ōkaiawa back. So formal consultation runs till the 23rd of September with a hearing scheduled for the 29th and deliberations and a final decision to be made on the 11th of October. So that we also have to have an objection period, so that'll run for a month. And that just gives the community an opportunity to object to the final decision that the council makes. At the moment, the initial proposal is uncompliant, and what I mean by uncompliant is that it's not compliant in regards to the Electoral Act and what that requires us in terms of thresholds and things like that. However, the council decided to adopt the initial proposal based on the informal feedback that they received and based on representation, so appropriate representation for each of the wards. So we probably will end up presenting it to the Local Government Commission at this stage. And we would really appreciate your feedback. It's really important that you submit either in support of the council's initial proposal or in support of the boards or something like that, but it's really important for the boards to submit. Following this meeting, I'll send out an email to you all with all the links and information so that you can prepare a submission. Hard copies, obviously we can't get them at the moment, but once we go back to level 2, they can be dropped off at any of the library pluses and things like that. Or you can submit online or email all the general things. So yeah, that's me, unless anyone's got any concerns or queries or, yeah.
Thanks, Becky. I've just got one question. The initial consultation was based on, I think, the census figures of 2018. I understand that we've changed that, what we're basing those voters, number of voters on. What year is that at now?
So the figures that we're using now are the 2020 estimated figures that have been provided to us by Stats New Zealand. And it was recommended to us by the Local Government Commission that we use those figures. So every other council, my understanding is that every other council across the country is using the 2020 figures. The 2020 figures increased the population from the 2018 figures by about 569 people across the district. So the increase wasn't massive or anything like that. It just kind of gives us a little bit of a clearer picture, that's all. Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. Any other questions for Becky? All right, we'll move on to the next speaker in open forum.
No, I think, well, Gordon was just helping me out. He was just going to answer any of the curly questions in regards to boundaries. But if you've got no questions, then Gordon and I will probably leave you to it.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Right, so can we move on to reports?
Yes, fine.
Thank you very much. Right, local discretion funding application report. We'll do age concern Taranaki. I'll move it. Have we got a seconder? Nikki, I think that's you. You're seconding it. That's Nikki Watson seconding.
Yes, sorry, I shouldn't have waved. That's right. Sorry. Yes, I second it.
Rightio, it's open for discussion. I'll get Nikki to comment first, if that's okay. Nikki Watson.
Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit as though we are sort of going in the wrong direction with funding operational costs for both of these. You know, I see their value in the community, but I kind of feel that we as a community board, you know, what is our legacy here? Are we, I sort of think we need to be looking at funding things like projects, events, assets or programs, something a little bit more tangible than operational costs. It doesn't sit well with me, the route we're going down. That's me.
Thanks, Nikki. Diana Reid, you're next.
After that, I've withdrawn my comment, so I'm not going to say anything now. Thanks, Wayne.
Right, we'll move on to Russell. Your thoughts, please, Russell. That's Russell Hockley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm in agreement with Nikki on both of these. I feel that we are moving away from essentially what we should be funding, and it even stipulates in the considerations and assessments under that ineligibility funding, not to fund individuals. And I think with both of these, I think we are funding an individual role. I think especially with the age concern, I think there's an opportunity to fund the activities, but not so much the role itself. And I get that there is a need. So yeah, that's my whakaaro. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Russell. Raymond, Buckland, your thoughts?
Yes, I agree with Nikki and Russell on that. I don't believe they should be getting funding for that purpose.
Thank you, Raymond. Mayor Phil, do you want to add anything to the conversation?
Hey, look, it's thanks, Chair. It's entirely over to you guys as a board as to what you do, but I absolutely understand where Nikki and some of you are coming from. I mean, yes, they are good causes in the community and they do a lot of good in the community, but I think it's a decision for you guys to make today, and then I think a thing that you could bring up for discussion at your next informal as to sort of directions you want to go, and then perhaps indicate back some of that. But yeah, entirely your guys' choice as a community board.
Thank you, Mayor Phil. My comments are, I agree with everything that's been said. It's a very worthy cause. I just feel we're going down the wrong track, and I think Nikki put it really well. Thanks, Nikki. So if there's nothing else to be said, we will put it to the vote. So all those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Aye.
Aye.
I think that's everyone against. Any abstentions? The application for Age Concerned Taranaki has been declined. Right, Parkinson's New Zealand Charitable Trust application. I'll move it. Can someone second, please? Russell, is that you?
Russell Hockley here. Thanks, Chair. I will second that.
Thanks, Russell. So that's Russell Hockley the second. It's open for discussion. I think we've probably covered it off. If anyone has any differing view, because I feel it's sort of in the same case as the Age Concerned Taranaki one, and I'll be voting to decline this application. So can we go through Nikki, do you have anything that you want to add?
Nothing further more to add. It's a really hard, difficult thing. I know under extenuating circumstances we have helped them before, but I just feel that this is not something they can rely on year after year, and I just don't feel we're going down the right route. So as I've said before, I just feel this is not something that I support.
Thanks, Nikki. Diana, Reid, your turn.
I agree with Nikki too. I'm sure we decided not to fund salaries and wages after the last time we did this. So I'll be voting against this motion.
Thanks, Diana. Russell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also in agreement with not funding this application. Yeah, I think the last time when we funded it, I think it was very much a debatable conversation, and I think now for us as a board, it's just setting that precedent that we don't fund salaries, and that if we are going to, we probably need to go back and look at our next informal and have this discussion then as to which path or direction we need to be going down. But yeah, it's definitely a no from me as well. Chair, thank you.
Thanks, Russell. Raymond, Buckland, you're next.
Yeah, I agree with everyone else. I don't support this at all.
Thank you, Raymond. Mayor Phil, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, look, thank you, Chair. I'll just go along with the comments of the board. As I said before, definitely your decision. Just one thing, Chair, just to make it easier for Vanessa as minute taker, perhaps if you wouldn't mind, please, instead of asking people to say aye, for or against, could you ask for names for and names against? It just makes it a lot easier for them. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Mayor Phil. Rightio, I think we've discussed it. Does anyone else want to add anything? Right, we will put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. That's none. Those against? Nikki?
Russell.
Nikki.
Raymond. Diana? Against?
Russell.
Yep, so that's, and I'm
Raymond.
against, so Vanessa, that's everyone against. Any abstentions? That's nil, so we will move on to the next item. The property and acquisitions and disposal report. I will move it. Do we have a seconder?
Raymond Buckland will second it.
Right, thanks, Raymond. It's open for discussion. Marianne, do you want to speak, or who's going to be speaking about this?
I'll just take the report as read. Do you need any background on it, or?
We have had, at our informal meeting, Kieran had a discussion about it.
Okay.
I've just got one question. Where will the community board fit into the discussion about disposal or acquisition of assets? There's nothing in the ladder of the tree there specifically about community boards. Are we locked in with council?
Yeah, I think that there is a plan to have the community board in there, and I thought it was in there.
I have a check. I can't see it because of my screens, but when I last looked at it, I don't think there was actually a line for community boards. Well,
I'll check that, but that's I can add that into the feedback as well. I'll take that back. I'll double check, and if it's not, I'll take it back to the committee.
Thank you, Nikki.
Chair, if I could please, on page 51 of the agenda, under the acquisition process, when you look on the right-hand side, is everyone with me? You know where I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
So on the right-hand side of the page, where it's saying about advice or offer relevant activity manager and elected reps. So that actually means community boards, anyone elected, it's not just councillors. So that part of it does take it out to community boards through elected members.
Thanks, Mayor Phil. Nikki, do you have any questions about the policy?
No, Karen was pretty thorough, and I've read through it, and it's in very good hands. I'm happy with it.
Thank you. Diana? Reid?
No, not from me. I've seen it before too at the council meeting, so and heard all the discussion. It looks great to me, but I'm not very good at picking holes in policies that the council officers write because they seem so good at it.
Thank you, Diana. Russell, Hockley?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Thanks, Russell. Raymond Buckland, anything from you?
No, thank you. I'm all good.
I'm happy too. So if we're all happy, I will put it to the vote that we accept the report. All those in favour, please call your names out.
Nikki.
Raymond Buckland.
Russell Hockley.
Wayne Bigham's in favour.
Diana Reid.
And Diana Reid. Everyone is in favour, Vanessa. Those against is nil, and abstentions are nil as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Right, items for action. List printed on the 18th of August 2021. Any questions for that? Or Liam, do you want to speak to it first? No, not Ian. It's Liam. It's Ella, isn't it? You'll need to unmute Ella if you.
There we go. I was on the wrong screen. I was just reading the items for action. I don't think I have anything up to date that's more up to date than that. Phil would normally, Phil Waite would normally give me some feedback, but it seems to be all going as planned. So I think just as it is.
Thanks, Ella. I just note that the 28th of June was the date of demolition to start, and they said about 60 days. So we're getting towards the end of that term. Does anyone have any update of how far they're ahead or behind of demolition?
I understand it's all on track, and I don't know whether Phil's got some update for me. He will have heard something through council, I'm sure.
Thanks, Ella, through you, Chair. No, to be honest, I haven't heard anything, but I guess this will certainly be holding things up at the moment while we're in lockdown. So, yeah, we can expect to have a little bit more added to it, obviously.
Through the Chair, probably just to follow on from that, there was supposed to be a Hāwera Town Centre Project Control Group meeting tomorrow, but that's been postponed, I guess, due to the fact that I guess the main order of business was going to be the review of the interviews with the preferred tenderers for the construction phase. So yeah, as far as we're in terms of demolition, that's it's trucking on okay. The building consent's been granted, and as I said, I think once we get through alert levels, the getting into interviews and final appointments for the building construction phase of it, we'll get on at a cracking pace.
Thank you, Liam. If there's no other questions, we will move on to the information reports. The community development activity report. I will move it. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second. Nikki Watson, second.
Thank you, Nikki. It's open for discussion. Nikki, do you have anything to start with?
I'm not sure. Ella, well, I'm curious to know, or can you release it, the feedback around the Eltham and Waverley with the waka kotahi, the troughs and everything?
Can't release it yet, although we are collating it, and that should be done very soon. I had a debrief yesterday with Waka Kotahi and acknowledged that there were aspects of Waverley particularly that were definitely not wanted. So, and then Eltham, actually a difficult situation, Eltham, probably in that the safety platform gets the thumbs up quite strongly, but the troughs, of course, not. So it will be interesting to see when we have an on-site meeting, how much the troughs contribute to the efficacy of the safety platform. And so that will be an interesting discussion with Waka Kotahi and their safety engineers, how we mitigate that, I suppose. But actually nothing, I can't give you numbers or figures or anything like that. They haven't been calculated, but just as a rough read, that's the feel at the moment.
Thanks, Ella. Wayne, unmute.
My apologies. I was asking Diana to unmute. Diana, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Wayne.
Russell, any questions?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Raymond, Buckland, any questions?
Nothing from me either, thank you.
Mayor Phil?
No, all good here, thanks, Chair. A lot going on, obviously, around the community. So yeah, we'll just wait and see when we can get back into making some of these things happen, and hope that what's in the future is able to happen in the not too distant future.
Thanks, Mayor Phil. If there's no other discussion, we'll put it to the vote. Raymond, are you in favour of accepting the report?
Yeah, I think it'd be okay.
Radio. Nikki, yes or no?
Yes, Nikki Watson, yes.
Russell Hockley, yes or no?
Russell Hockley, yes.
Diana Reid.
Yeah, Diana Reid, yes.
Wayne Bigham's a yes, so that's all in favour. There's no one against and no abstentions. Right, we will move on to the next one. The District Library Plus Report, July 2021. I'll move it. Do we have a seconder, please?
Raymond Buckland.
Raymond seconding. Raymond Buckland second. It's open for discussion. Nikki, any comments?
No comment, thank you, Chair.
Diana Reid, any comments?
No comment, thank you.
Russell Hockley, any comments?
No comment, thank you.
Raymond Buckland, any comments?
No, thank you.
Mayor Phil, any comments?
I'd just like to commend, through you, Chair, commend the library staff again. Just every meeting, every report that we get, we're just seeing different innovations and things they're doing. Point 10 on page 66, they talk about the teen night. Apparently those are going really well. And so, yeah, I think it's fantastic what that staff does and how they keep innovating and keeping people engaged in libraries.
Thanks, Mayor Phil. If there's no other comment, we'll put it to vote that we accept it. Raymond, do you accept the report?
Yes.
Nikki Watson, do you accept the report?
Yes, I do.
Russell Hockley?
Yes.
Diana Reid?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I vote yes as well. So that's everyone in favour of accepting. There'll be none against and no abstentions. Right, the next one is the Environmental Services Activity Report, June 2021. Liam, would you like to comment? Oh, sorry, I move it. Do we have a seconder?
Russell Hockley.
Nikki Watson. Oh, sorry.
Russell's in first.
You
He's
go,
Russell
Russell.
Hockley the second. Liam, do you want to speak to your report?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Happy to make just a couple of comments across this report and the report in under 6.3.2. So what we've done here is we've just done a monthly report for June and a monthly report for July. We've split them apart basically because of the ones for year end and ones first month of a new financial year. Otherwise we would have combined them. I guess, yeah, just a couple of high level comments. The building consent activity has, I guess, had a little bit of a drop, not by much. I guess there's still Hāwera, not surprisingly, it's the biggest population centre. Hāwera is still, I guess, the leader in building consent volumes as well as resource consents. But there's a fair smattering of activity across the district, which is encouraging. Although the numbers have dropped slightly, new housing still strong month on month. I guess probably the bad news story out of this is the animal control stats, and I guess the trend that we've been tracking for the last couple of months hasn't sort of improved. So last week we were all set to have a bit of a summit with the compliance officers about what we could do in the animal control space, particularly around Hāwera. There's a real spike of dog attacks and rushing, threatening roaming, which we just want to get under control. We're going to have a meeting about that last week, and then lockdown happened, so that's still on the to-do list. So we're working through that. So that's yeah, a little bit of a concern out of the two reports going from year end into new financial year. Probably on the more positive side of things, there's a lot of work happening in the environment and sustainability space, particularly around waste minimisation and looking at better options there, particularly about how we get our organic waste under control. So yeah, that's I guess the two reports in a nutshell. Happy to take any questions. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Liam. Nikki, do you have any questions regarding the report?
No questions, but just noted the large number of abandoned vehicles. I think that's interesting. I mean, I love all these reports. There's some interesting trivia on here. Who would have thought we had that many abandoned vehicles? But no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Diana, do you have any questions regarding the report?
No, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Liam, for your report.
Russell, Hockley, any questions for Liam?
Nothing from me. Thank you, Wayne, but thanks, Liam, for your report.
Raymond, Buckland, any comments, questions?
Yeah, no questions, thank you.
Just from me, thank you for your report, Liam. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Raymond, are you in favour of accepting the report?
Yes, I am.
Nikki, are you in favour of accepting?
Yes, I am.
Russell Hockley, you're in favour of accepting?
Aye.
Diana, you're in favour of accepting the report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm in favour as well, so that's 5 yeses. And there'll be no votes against and no abstentions. So we will move on to the next one, which is the Environmental Services Activity Report for July 2021. I'll move it. Do we have a seconder, please?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Diana Reid as a seconder. Once again, it's open for discussion. I don't think, Liam, you want to add anything further to this one?
No, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll take this one as read. My earlier comments refer to this report as well.
Thank you, Liam. Any questions for Liam? Please, wish to say something? Looks like everyone's fine. So we will put it to the vote that we accept the Environmental Services Activity Report for July 2021. Raymond, how do you vote?
Yeah, I'm full for it.
It's Raymond Buckland 4. Nikki Watson?
Yeah, I'm for. Yes, thank you.
That's Nikki Watson voting for it. Russell Hockley?
Yes.
Diana Reid?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And that's a yes from Wayne Bigham as well. So that's 5 for accepting the report, no no's and no abstentions. We will go on to the last one, the Tihara Facility Usage Report 2020-21. I will move the report. Do we have a seconder, please?
Raymond Buckland.
Raymond Buckland, the second. Thank you, Raymond. It's open for discussion. Nikki, do you have any comments or questions?
No comment, thanks.
Diana Reid?
Just that COVID-19 might again make a difference to these statistics, which is such a shame. That it's not really anything, it's just that it worries me, you know, people stop doing lots of things now.
Thank you, Diana. Russell, any comments, questions?
No comments from me, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Raymond Buckland, any comments or questions?
No, thank you.
Phil, do you want to make any comments or questions?
No, happy with that report, Chair.
Thank you, Phil. I'm happy with it as well, so we'll put it to the vote. Sorry, Raymond, how do you vote on this one? Raymond Buckland?
All good.
You're voting for. Nikki Watson?
For, thank you, Wayne. Chair.
Russell Hockley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
For. Diana Reid?
For.
And I'm for, so that's 5 to accept the report, none against and no abstentions. I think we're done. Are we all good? There's nothing else I need to cover? Nothing there. Great. Thank you very much. Trying circumstances. Let's hope we don't have to do this again. Teams is not great, but yeah, long may we soon be back to level 1. Thank you very much. I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.